Why do some people desperately chase love, yet still feel ignored? Why do some people sacrifice everything for others and still end up unappreciated, while others barely speak, barely explain themselves, and yet their presence is deeply valued? Because one of the deepest truths about human nature is this: people rarely value what they believe will never leave. The more desperately someone clings, the less they are respected. But the Bible teaches something very different. True value does not come from begging for attention. It comes from knowing who you are before God. Because people with spiritual strength do not live terrified of losing everyone. They live anchored internally. And strangely enough, that quiet strength makes people afraid of losing them. Today, we are uncovering 5 biblical truths that make a person deeply respected, emotionally strong, and impossible to replace. Not through manipulation, not through pride, but through wisdom, boundaries, and inner peace. And number 5 explains why the people with the strongest presence are often the quietest people in the room. So, before we begin, write this in the comments: my value comes from God. Because the moment you stop begging to be valued, people begin seeing your worth differently. One of the fastest ways to lose respect is constantly needing validation, always explaining yourself, always trying to please everyone, always afraid someone may dislike you. Galatians 1:10 says, "If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." That verse is powerful, because people who constantly chase approval slowly lose themselves. And human beings naturally stop valuing what feels emotionally desperate. But spiritually strong people are different. They respect others without depending on others emotionally for identity. They know who they are before God. That creates calmness, stability, inner strength. And, honestly, people feel that energy immediately. Because confidence rooted in God feels different than confidence rooted in ego. The world teaches people to perform constantly for attention. But the Bible teaches identity before approval. And people who are emotionally secure become much harder to manipulate. Many people stay in relationships where they are constantly undervalued, always texting first, always apologizing first, always sacrificing, always trying harder. Meanwhile, the other person barely puts in effort. And over time, this destroys self-worth. Even Jesus did not force people to stay. When people rejected him, he often walked away peacefully. That matters deeply, because wisdom knows the difference between love and emotional slavery. Matthew 10:14 says, "If anyone will not welcome you, leave." Leave. Not beg. Not force. Not destroy yourself, trying to convince people to value you. Some people only recognize value after absence creates clarity. And one painful truth about human nature is this: When someone believes you will tolerate everything, they stop fearing the consequences of losing you. Boundaries create respect. Not because boundaries are cruel, but because they reveal self-respect. People with deep inner peace usually have something powerful, a life beyond public validation. They have purpose, discipline, private growth, prayer, vision, a world internally that does not collapse when people leave. And that creates emotional strength. Many people become emotionally weak because their happiness depends entirely on external attention. But spiritually mature people learn to stand alone peacefully. Psalm 1 describes a righteous person like a tree planted by streams of water, stable, rooted, not emotionally collapsing every time circumstances change. And, strangely enough, people are naturally drawn toward those who are not desperate for attention, because desperation pushes people away. But peace attracts people. When someone can enjoy life, purpose, and peace, even while alone, others begin realizing this person is not easily controlled emotionally. That creates respect automatically. Not every situation deserves explanation. Not every accusation deserves defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves emotional panic. Proverbs 17:27 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint." Wise people understand something dangerous about human nature. The more emotionally reactive someone becomes, the weaker they appear. But calmness creates presence. Jesus himself often remained silent when falsely accused. Not because he was weak, but because real strength does not constantly need to prove itself. Some people explain too much because they are terrified of losing approval. But spiritually grounded people know this. People committed to misunderstanding you will misunderstand you anyway. And silence often carries more power than endless explanation. The people others fear losing most are usually not the loudest people. They are the calmest, the hardest to emotionally shake. This is the deepest principle of all. Real value is not created through chasing people. It is created through becoming rare internally. Integrity, wisdom, peace, loyalty, depth, consistency, character. Proverbs 31 says, "She is worth far more than rubies." Why? Because rare character is difficult to replace. The world is full of people trying to appear impressive externally. But truly valuable people create safety, peace, wisdom, and stability wherever they go. And when those people leave, the absence becomes deeply felt. Not because they manipulated emotions, but because their presence carried something meaningful. Think about Joseph in the Bible. Every environment improved when he entered it. Potiphar's house, the prison, Egypt itself. Why? Because favor, wisdom, and integrity followed him. That is real value. And people who carry peace internally become unforgettable externally. Because the rarest thing in today's world is not beauty, not popularity, not status. It is emotional stability and godly character. The Bible never teaches people to manipulate others emotionally, but it does teach people to walk with wisdom, dignity, and self-respect. And one of the deepest truths in relationships is this: the more you fear losing yourself, the less others respect your presence. But when your identity becomes rooted in God, you stop begging for love, stop chasing validation, stop shrinking yourself to keep everyone happy. And, ironically, that quiet strength makes people value you more deeply. Because people are not most afraid of losing someone clingy. They are afraid of losing someone peaceful, grounded, wise, and difficult to replace. Someone whose absence creates emptiness, not because they were loud, but because their presence carried peace. And maybe that is the real secret. The strongest people are not the people who desperately hold on to everyone. They are the people who learned how to walk with God so deeply that, even alone, they remain whole.